Some artists you can recognize with the sound of one glance at the shape, the material, the color, and you already know who the artist is. That kind of instant recognition is rare, and it's not really about talent alone. It's about a visual signature so strong it burns itself into memory. In this episode, we look at 7 artists whose styles are almost impossible to forget, working in everything from paper and fabric to glass and pure light. Let's get into the video so I can show you what makes each of these artists so hard to shake. Genieve Figgis, Pretty Until It Isn't. Genieve Figgis paints the kind of scene you would expect to find in an old, expensive portrait. Grand houses, elegant dresses, aristocrats at leisure. Then you look at the faces and something is very wrong. Figgis was born in Dublin in 1972. She married young, raised 2 children, and did not enter an art school until she was around 30. She earned her degree from the National College of Art and Design in Dublin, painting from a home studio and sharing her work online. In 2014, the American artist Richard Prince discovered her paintings online and became her first collector, launching her career almost overnight. Her paintings borrow from subjects from classical European art, wealthy families, garden parties, grand interiors, but Figgis paints with acrylic so thin and fluid it drips and pulls on the canvas. Melting her figures into grinding, ghost-like faces. What looks charming and decorative from a distance turns strange and unsettling up close. Figgis mixes the elegance of old master painting with a dark, cartoonish sense of humor. Her work looks pretty first and only reveals the horror once you're already looking. She has pointed to cartoon influences, including comic strips, alongside her love of classical portrait painters as part of what shapes her loose, melting figures. Traditional portraits were once used to flatter the wealthy and powerful. Figgis paints the same kind of people, but turns them into mischievous, unsettling ghosts instead. Chihuly, glass that moves like water. Chihuly's glass does not look blown. It looks poured, like water frozen mid-splash or a wave caught in the act of coiling over. Chihuly was born in Tacoma, Washington in 1941. He studied glass blowing at the University of Wisconsin under Harvey Littleton, a founder of the American studio glass movement, then earned a master's degree at the Rhode Island School of Design. A Fulbright fellowship sent him to Venice, where he trained at a legendary glass workshop and became the first American ever allowed to learn there. In 1976, a car accident cost Chihuly the sight in one eye, and a later shoulder injury made it difficult for him to keep blowing glass himself. Instead of stopping, he changed roles entirely. He began directing teams of skilled glass blowers, sketching designs and calling out instructions while his gaffers shaped the molten glass at the furnace. The results are enormous, colorful and organic, swirling forms that look like sea creatures, flowers and ocean waves rather than solid glass. Chihuly's installations now fill gardens, museums and hotel lobbies around the world, turning a material known for being fragile into something that feels alive. He also co-founded the Future Glass School in Washington State, training generations of glass artists after him. Some critics call his work too decorative or commercial, but many credit him for turning glass blowing from a craft into a fine art. A permanent gallery of his work now stands in situ. James Turrell, architecture made of light. James Turrell does not paint with light, he builds with it. His work is often just an empty room and an opening cut into the ceiling, yet people travel across the world to sit inside it. Turrell was born in Los Angeles in 1943 to a Quaker family and earned his pilot license at just 16. He studied psychology and mathematics before turning to art and became one of the founders of the light and space movement in 1960s California, a group of artists who treated light itself as a material, not just something used to illuminate other materials. His best-known works, called sky spaces, are rooms with an opening cut directly into the roof, framing the sky above so precisely it can start to look like a flat painting rather than an open air. Hidden colored lighting shifts the mood slowly, changing how the sky itself appears to viewers minute by minute. Since 1977, Turrell has been turning an extinct volcanic crater in Arizona desert into a naked eye observatory, a project so vast it had occupied him for decades and still is not finished. For Turrell, the real subject was never the light, it is the act of noticing it. In some of his other rooms, called Gansfelds, he floods a space with a single even color until walls seem to dissolve and depth disappear entirely, leaving viewers unsure where the room ends. His decades of work has earned him both a MacArthur and a Guggenheim Fellowship, and his crater project is still being caved into the desert today. Kara Walker. Kara Walker's work looks, at first, like something from an old Victorian scrapbook. Flat black paper, cut into simple silhouettes, pinned against a white wall. It looks almost polite, almost gentle. Then you look closer, and the story turns dark fast. Walker was born in California in 1969 and later moved to Atlanta as a teenager, where she came face to face with a version of American history her childhood had not prepared her for. She studied art in Atlanta, then earned a master's degree at the Rhode Island School of Design, where her silhouette style took shape. Her Cutouts place figures inside scenes drawn from the era of slavery in American South. The shapes are smooth and simple, almost cartoon-like, but they act out violence, power, and humiliation in plain view. A silhouette hides detail. It shows only an outline. Walker uses that gap on purpose, filling the emptiness with exactly what history tends to leave out. Beyond paper, Walker has carried the same idea into film, prints, light projection, and large sculpture, always circling back to how stereotypes are built and who they serve. In 2002, she represented the United States at one of the world's biggest art exhibitions, the Bienal de Sao Paulo, and she now teaches visual art at Columbia University in New York. By the mid-1990s, Walker had become one of the most talked about young artists in America. In 1997, she received a MacArthur Fellowship, becoming one of the youngest artists ever to win one. Decades later, her shadow still refused to sit quietly on the wall. Bisa Butler, portraits made of fabric. Bisa Butler does not paint her portraits, she sews them. Every face, every wrinkle, every strand of hair is built from layers of cut and stitched fabric. Butler was born in New Jersey in 1973 and studied painting at Howard University. She only turned fully to fabric while working on a master's degree after finding that oil paint fumes were not safe to work with during her pregnancy. Her first fabric portrait was of her own grandparents, sewn from an old family photograph. That habit of starting with a photograph never left her. Butler built each quilt from a historical or personal picture, enlarging it, then layering it with brightly patterned textiles, including West African wax prints and kente cloth. The pattern she picks for each figure is never random. It is chosen to say something about who that person was and where they came from. Her approach draws on earlier black artists who worked with fabric and collage before her. Her portraits are usually life-size and hung at eye level, so viewers meet her subject almost as equals. Many of the people in her quilts were once anonymous faces in old photographs. Through fabric, Butler gives them name, color, and dignity. Butler has said that quilting itself carries history inside it, since enslaved people in America once had to sew warm covers from scraps of leftover cloth. A single portrait can take hundreds of hours to finish, and today her work hangs in major institutions, including the Art Institute of Chicago and the Smithsonian. Daniel Arsham. Relics from an imagined future. Daniel Arsham makes objects that look like they were dug up by archaeologists 1,000 years from now. A familiar object cracked open to reveal crystal growing inside, as though time itself had gotten to it first. Arsham was born in Cleveland in 1980, grew up in Miami, and studied art at Cooper Union in New York. He calls his method fictional archaeology. He takes everyday objects and everyday icons from our own time and casts them in materials like volcanic ash, sand, and crystal, so they look worn, cracked, and eroded, as if centuries had already passed over them. The objects he chooses are usually things we recognize instantly, ordinary items from recent decades. By aging them artificially, Arsham asks a simple question: what happens to the things we use every day once they become history? He treats the present like it's already the past, viewed by someone far in the future. Arsham works across sculpture, architecture, drawing, and film, and has built career out of imagining ruins that have not happened yet. His work turns nostalgia into something you can hold in your hands. He has applied the same idea to classical statues, casting them in crystal and stone as though they too had been buried and dug up again. Arsham is also colorblind, which has pushed much of his sculpture towards a limited, almost monochrome palette, and he has carried his ideas into architecture, founding a design studio alongside his practice. JR, the artist who disappears into his own work. You will never see JR's face in his own work. He photographs everyone else, giant photographs pasted on walls, rooftops, and real cars. But the artist himself stays hidden, usually behind a hat and dark glasses. JR was born in Paris in 1983 to a family with roots in Tunisia. As a teenager, he tagged walls around the city with graffiti. Everything changed when he found an abandoned camera on the Paris metro. He began photographing his friends and neighbors, then blowing those photographs up onto an enormous scale and pasting them across the city, calling his method photographer, a part photographer, a part graffiti artist. JR's portraits are not framed and not kept behind glass. They are glued directly onto buildings, bridges, and slums, left exposed to weather and time until they peel away and disappear. He has photographed communities on nearly every continent, often inviting the people themselves to take part, turning ordinary faces into public monuments, if only for a while. JR has kept his identity a secret for his entire career, arguing that the work should matter more than the person who made it. In an art world built on famous names, he has become famous for staying anonymous. Much of his work focuses on people who are usually forgotten or overlooked, especially women and residents of poor or forgotten neighborhoods. He has also invited total strangers to send in their own portraits to be pasted up in public, turning ordinary people into collaborators. In 2011, this work earned him the third prize.